I think we are right now in the best moment in our history as humans to do amazing things and have an impact in our world. We are an alternative to hiring a full product team. Doing startup means surviving with something that doesn't really work, you know?
Hello, the Recursive community. My name is Elena and I am an innovation reporter. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Gabriel Dombri, CEO of Tapptitude. This is a product building studio that aims to partner up with funded startups to build interactive, mobile-first digital products that can improve people's lives. The entrepreneur has a background in growth marketing and wants to turn Tapptitude into a hands-on product partner that can define, improve, and build digital products. In this interview, we get to discover how his team takes startups through different stages. For example, from strategy to development to testing and then to product management. Oh, hello, Gabriel, and thank you for accepting to do this interview.
Nice to meet you, Elena.
Nice to meet you. Let's dive into it. What inspired the launch of Tapptitude?
So Tapptitude was launched almost 8 years ago by 4 mobile developers back then, who I think were highly unsatisfied by the quality of the mobile products in the market at that point. I was not part of the initial founding team. I joined after approximately a year and a bit. But from my knowledge, the incentive to launch Tappitude was, let's build better products. Let's build better mobile products, because people deserve better mobile experiences than you could find back then.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Looking at your portfolio, most of your past projects have a growth marketing element at the core. How does this apply to Tapptitude, and what can you tell me more about the team?
Tappitude is positioned as a product studio. Okay, so product studio is a thing that typically works with other people to build amazing products and grow them. You know? Mm-hmm. Now, in our case, it's been an evolution from the typical development agency specialized for mobile into what we are today. And this evolution has taken quite a few years. I mean, probably for the last almost 3 years, we're slightly positioning into this new model, which is the product studio model. Okay, mm-hmm. So the product studio model starts from the assumption that a product is not good enough unless it grows. Mm-hmm. You know, so because there are lots of people out there building products, but as you well know, the majority of these products unfortunately don't make it. You know, unfortunately don't make it into a business, into a sustainable business, mm-hmm. and don't make it to a meaningful exit in a way or another. Because in this startup world, a meaningful exit is what everybody seems to be looking after. You know, mm-hmm. So in our case, what we typically help with is the entire flow from an interesting concept that solves what we believe to be a worth tackling problem. So a possible solution for an interesting problem that has opportunity in terms of market, mm-hmm. to defining what that solution might be, then building the solution in a kind of iterative way, in the mm-hmm. typical startup model, building the solution as you validate it in the market. Mm-hmm. Now, internally, we don't have a growth team. What we have is a full product team on all the functions, as we call it, all the functions of a product. So from strategy to UX UI design to implementation, all the front end, back end, all that, product management and testing. Okay, so in all these years, for all the products that you saw and the products that are growing fast now, we typically work with external growth teams. The majority of this situation, they were our partners' growth teams. In other situations, there were external growth teams that work with us or with a partner. Mm-hmm. And this is how we sorted out the growth challenges in these products. You know, the way our model works is we try to de-risk and help these people, the founders, de-risk the product investments on the product side with the awareness that product is not enough always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably it's one important thing to mention here, which is one like wrong expectation from lots of founders teams, which is they think the product is done. They think they come and say, okay, we need you to help us build a product, and then the product will be done and we'll do like marketing, we'll do growth. But unfortunately, the reality is highly different. So you have like what's I think the founder of Sheba, a product that we built quite some time ago, said, George McEnroe said, there are two hungry beasts that eat our funding every month, which is the technology and the marketing. So you have the product that is always an investment if things work, and you have the growth, the marketing in this case, that is again always an investment, even when things don't work. You know.
Thank you. That's so interesting. So, can you take me through the process of onboarding a startup to the product building studio?
Yep. So the typical flow for a founders team to join us is hopefully they got to a good point before they have a conversation with us. What does that mean? That means they found an interesting problem to solve. They are a good fit for the problem. Okay, they've done some validation before they got to the point of building a product. So that validation can mean very different things depending on the context. But what we expect at least is they understand their market well, they understand the audience well by direct contact with them. They've done the typical customer development, the groundwork of customer development, which is they really understand the problem or the job to be done for those people. They understand where the challenges are. They understand how those people might switch from their current alternatives, because there are always alternatives in what somebody proposes. And then they have a proof of validation to somebody else than us before. And though somebody else is typically like an investor. Okay. Because especially late in the last 2 years or so, we almost work exclusively with founding startups. So with a founding team, they got this validation work done, and somebody else said, yeah, guys, I trust you that you're the right team to tackle this problem. I give you some money as a seed round to boost the validation phase, because we're still in the depths of validation phase right now. And that is the moment where it's the best to have a conversation with us, because we are an alternative to hiring a full product team. So we are the alternative to hiring a VP of product, or like a product a strategist, to hiring a designer in-house, to hiring a development team and all that, because we come like at the package with everything ready to run. You know, we have really experienced people on all these fronts, and we start the conversation with them on, let's see where we got, let's see what is your product vision and where it needs to go in terms of growth in a certain amount of time. And let's see what we still need to validate and how. And that typically how is a form of MVP, a minimum viable product that has some validation purposes. Now, this is the kind of the flow up to starting a conversation with us. After that, what typically happens is we have an initial phase that in our case is called a product definition phase, which is kind of a consultancy plus prototyping or whatever the phase might be, because some people might have already like a form of first product that we only start to update. But it is a kind of an alignment phase, a consultancy alignment phase between us. And after that, we plan the strategy for the next phase. And that strategy includes, from our side, like a full product team. So we're talking about product managers, we're talking about some developers, we're talking about designers, we're talking about testers, all the lots that you need to have the right velocity in that validation work that you do.
That's so cool. It's so helpful. So when should a startup tap into your services? Can you share with us a case study, something interesting that could be useful for the community?
So probably Wchih. So Wchih is one of our clients. Wchih is a good example on how this flow of approaching us, how approaching us like overlaps on the struggles of the reality of building a startup, the life cycle of a startup. Okay, so Wchih is a solution for people who struggle with nutrition objectives, with like health. It's under the health kind of umbrella, if you like, and people who struggle to lose weight, to have a certain habits of eating that are not happening right now. They have certain body shape objective or whatever might be in this. Okay, and the solution that Wchih proposed was, instead of the typical like dieting element, which is the straightforward, one of the straightforward solutions to nutrition or to like losing weight especially, they said you actually need more than a nutrition plan. You need accountability. You need somebody to be there to guide you. You need a program that can show you progress or deviation from progress, and so on. Okay? So Wchih was founded by Emily. So Emily did a lot of validation hands-on with user, herself being a user of the product and somebody who struggled with those challenges and somebody who thought there isn't a good solution for the type of struggles that I have. And I think there are lots of other people like myself that might need this type of help. So what she did was she gathered a very small kind of founded team. They started doing validation with like customer development. They hacked the product with like using WhatsApp and WhatsApp groups, because the model they got at the end into was have some nutrition coach, and we have people who have nutrition objectives, and we link them together in a kind of controlled program. Okay, so they did this validation hands-on with chat groups. They proved that, first of all, there is a problem. Clearly, we can all see that. There is like an angle to approach the problem that would make people interested. So you validate desirability from that perspective, and people are willing to pay for the value they would receive from that, and the value would be validated because they will pay repeatedly. So there is a kind of retention of payment from that perspective. So they did all this kind of work before they reached us, and this work allowed them to get a seed funding, a seed round, before they came to us and said, guys, we got all this done. We think this is a really interesting opportunity in the market right now, and we need a product team to help us launch a proper product, because so far it was like only a hacked product, and scale. So we started working together. In about 6 months, we launched the proper product, the proper MVP, because so far it was more like a proof of concept than anything else. And right now we're still continuing with them as they grow. So they closed another round of funding, and they are preparing for a Series A.
That's a great experience. Yeah, thank you so much. Can you share with me what does a product studio mean, and how is it different from a development agency?
Yeah, this is the tricky one, because the majority of people approach somebody like Tapptitude from outside. They are looking for somebody to help them build the product. But as I told you before, building the product is only part of the foundation for survival, because we are in a survival game, unfortunately, with this. Typically within the first 3 years, doing startup means surviving with something that doesn't really work. So a product studio is a setup where we try to help our partners on all the fronts of these challenges. So the first front is making sure they understand what the experience will be, what the reality is, the reality they're tackling is. Because in some situation, especially for the first-time founders, they don't really understand what they embark on, what they embark for. So we are there because we've done so many things in this space. Ourselves, we launched and failed startups. So we did this actually hands-on. So we prepared them mentally and from a mindset perspective for this venture. The second thing is doing the right thing for the right moment and for the right scope. Because this is, again, a huge area of bias and of myths and misunderstandings. What typically happens is that people have what I call value anxiety, especially first-time founders. So they think we don't have enough value, so we need to build more. when in fact they haven't validated the core assumption of the product. Okay, because if your core assumption about the value of the product is not validated, whatever else you put on top of it typically doesn't validate it. It just gives you like more risk because you spend more money, you spend more time, and especially time is something that you don't have as a startup. In such a dynamic reality, you don't really have time. So a product studio tackles the mindset thing and then tackles building the right thing for the right kind of context, and then doing all the other things that a typical development agency does, which is building a product, growing a product from a product perspective, maintaining a product, and all those. But these two elements are the essential differentiating elements in this. And like on top of that, what we have different is the fact that we are partners. So we are partners with de-risking like tools for these startups, and we are partners in like the path vision, if you like. So the reality we want to go for in building something really, really big, you know, with all the expectation of risks in there, all the like the tools to validate risks on the way, and so on. And this is highly different than the typical development agency, which is you have a bunch of people who say, we know how to build this, we know how to build mobile apps in like using Swift for iOS or using Kotlin for Android. Give us something to do and we'll do whatever you say at the right speed, at the right quality, and so on. You know, but there's not enough, unfortunately.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question to build on that. Is there a trait or a few traits that you look in when you discuss with a founder? You sense some traits there that you feel it's going to be a good team. You're going to build a good team.
Yeah, there are a few things on this area. So we're looking at founders who are a good fit for the problems they're tackling. So what that means? That means if they have hands-on experience with the need area, the problem space, that's an amazing start. Yeah. If they've done the hands-on understanding or experience of the problem and the hands-on understanding of who the audience is and how they're struggling with what they're struggling right now, that's again a very solid start. The third thing, they need to understand and have the openness of embarking on this venture in the right way. And that right way is like the mentality of we are wrong, but we don't know where we are wrong. And we don't know how much wrong we are in our assumptions right now. And let's find some ways to quickly give us the answers on where we are wrong. And this is the opposite of what is like right now as a theory of startup validation, which is you need to validate. No, we're talking about showing all those things that don't really work so that you may stumble upon something that starts to work, you know. Now, the more like methodical and control you do this, the better chances you have at not like getting to what works faster. And this is like the way we try to influence the investment, which is we try to push these people to build less, faster, launch things faster, and have a mindset of actually looking at the right data that comes from out there, as sad and as painful as that data can be, because it's typically sad and painful, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a way for them to build something that lasts.
Yeah.
I have two more questions for you. This are more general questions. What niches have you worked with, and do you intend to specialize in a specific vertical when it comes to the next few years?
Yeah, so in these like 7+ years, we've worked on quite a few niches or verticals. As a setup, we're not specialized in one or a few niches. We are like what we call the agnostic product strategists from that perspective, product builders. But we've worked a lot in like IoT, for instance. We've built quite a few products during the last years in different kind of embedded devices space. That might mean, I don't know, something like a personal device like Google Home, for instance. So an interface, an entire system that will connect a device like that, and you can control a device like that. Showing things in a car by connecting like a phone to a car and displaying things on a car. Controlling a drone and planning a trip with a drone so that it can measure a certain field, for instance, and creating kind of a mapping in a field, for instance, in this space. We've done lots of other things into like the typical Uber or services like gig economy, delivery services. Delivery might be transportation services, this kind of stuff. We've done a lot of things in the prop tech, so platforms to manage different kinds of realities of owning or renting real estate. That might be, for instance, in Romania, we are the main partner for on mobile since, I don't know, they created the first mobile apps for imobiliare.ro, which is the biggest player in the space in Romania. Now, in the future, we have 3 or 4 verticals we're highly interested in. And we're interested because, like, during all these years, somehow we clarified that our mission is to also have a positive impact at scale with the product that we build. And by putting this angle into the things that we look at, health tech is something that we're highly interested in. So we're starting doing quite a few projects especially in the mental health and later also in the physical health. So that is an area we're highly interested in, and especially like my colleagues from the UK are focusing on that and specialized in creating like habits for improved mental health, especially, you know. The IoT space, I think, is a tremendous space in the future because everything will be slowly connected around us, and you will need more control and better kind of management of all these objects that are becoming smart objects, or, you know, initially activated objects, not necessarily smart, but there'll be a moment probably when they'll become also smart. What else? I think there are like the entire community-based things that might be a social network that improves something in the community, like a distribution system that improves the time you get your food on, for instance, or moving around and not spending that much time. All these things we are highly interested in because we know that the communities are here for the future, and if we can improve how these communities are structured, we want to do that and help other people like do good things in those spaces.
Thank you. And to build on this question, what app trends do you think we'll be seeing in the future?
If you look lately in the community space that I just mentioned earlier, you saw an emergence of like a new business model in the food delivery space, especially like the 10 minutes delivery, which is the, you know, last minute delivery trend. So I think that is a trend that is here to stay. It's not very clear how they will sort out the business model because they have a business model problem. The majority of these solutions are losing lots of money to establish their businesses. And it seems that the business model itself requires lots and lots of funding and time to actually get to a point where they become profitable. And the profitability seems to be only on certain areas of this business model. So I think that is the food job. So the job is we need food and we need to get food, you know. So that is something that will continue to be innovated upon in the next years. Okay, probably even the food itself will change. You saw like the last solutions in new types of meat or whatever, changing the content of what food is right now and creating food differently than by agriculture or by, you know, raising animals. Okay, that is clearly a trend that is here to stay and will rebalance the market that we have right now. Another trend is clearly the health area itself. So the mental health. I mean, we've seen in the last year and a bit by just staying indoors, you know, staying in our own homes, how many challenges only this like small change in behavior brought upon us. And I think the mental space, the mental job, the job is I want to be, first of all, mentally sane. I want to have a certain mental energy. I want to have certain like objectives. Is here to like boost innovation. And it'll be all kinds of innovation, from the very straightforward ones, which is new programs for trainings, new programs for behaviors, to hardware, to different stuff that will be inserted in our brains and will create this computer-brain interface and so on. So I think that is another huge area, an extremely interesting area for innovation in the next period. And all of these have a mobile component. There might not be a mobile app per se, but there is a mobile component, because mobile means mobility implicitly. So it's something that you experience by not necessarily sitting at a desk. So that is mobile. That is how we understand mobile, and that is why we are not like a mobile development something. We are like mobile first experience product builders. As an approach. And I think there is another space which is like slowly like blossoming, which is the legacy industries, especially like the industrial producers, all those mammoth industry players, which are going to be digitalized from, having a coffee machine that is connected, so you have lots of hardware producers that have no digitalization at all, but their website or something to like buy their products, from, I'm a coffee lover. I have a coffee grinder, for instance. Yeah, I expect my coffee grinder to be digitalized. I expect to be able to understand what is the grain size of that, to have a history of data and so on that. And innovations will come into this space. I mean, it's there, and there are like small players that will, like Tesla did with the auto industry, will shake these industries, from inside somehow.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for this future.
Yeah, it's almost here.
It's almost here. It's exciting. I mean, I'm learning so much. Thank you so much. It was inspiring. I have one last thing. I always say, do you have something to share with our community? I'm rolling the red carpet here.
I think we are right now in the best moment in our history as humans to do amazing things and have an impact in our world, like fundamentally, because our world is on the verge of either imploding, so we're gonna fuck this up, as a planet, or we're gonna solve this. Yeah. And I think if you look at the innovations from SpaceX to others, space is one of them, but also the planet is another amazing place right now to do innovation. And I think if you guys have the passion and like the courage to take on this, I think that is the best moment to do it. There are lots of money out there. There is a lot of knowledge out there to help you do this. There are lots of other people with like passion and willingness to have impact and can help you do this. So probably if you want to like tackle on a big problem, just do it, because you'll find the means to do it.
Thank you so much for everything. And that's a wrap.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you. Oh, you caught me. Sorry. Gabriel Dombri had to leave to meet with a client, but if you're looking for a technical partner, check out Tapptitude.